Hi guys, I think I'm live now. If you can see me, if you can hear me, please do let me know in the chat that everything is good. Good afternoon, Pragnya Jyoti and Aryan Jain and Muttu Jam. Good afternoon to every one of you, all of you. Please do like the stream. Please do subscribe to our channel. We are putting in a lot of effort to ensure that all of you are getting good benefit. So please do help us. The I know that many of you are messaging good afternoon. So a very good afternoon to all of you. The subject for today's stream, what I wanted to discuss today is what should one do to score 100 percentile in CAT. Now, before I start off, I want to give you two disclaimers. 100 percentile involves a lot of preparation. It will also involve a lot of luck. Nobody can be very certain that they will get 100 percentile. To give you a background, I have scored 100 percentile 5 times. I scored 100 in CAT 2019, 2021, 22, 23, and 24. I missed out on 100 percentile in CAT 2020. But even now, when I go to the exam center, I'm not so sure whether I'll get 100 or not. There are many variables. There are many things that are at play. So 100 percentile involves a lot of effort. It will involve a lot of luck also. The second thing and the most important thing with respect to students is what I wanted to tell you. If you are preparing for CAT, aim for 100 percentile. I think that is a good thing. You should feel that, okay, I'm going to give everything that I got to aim for as high as I can. But on the day of the examination, maybe a week or two before the examination, try to put less stress on yourself. Try to tell yourself that, okay, 100 percentile is, this is especially true for students who are doing very, very well. There is nothing special about 100 percentile. There is nothing, there is no extra shortlist that you will get by 100 percentile, which you would not get if you have scored, say, 99.9. So aiming for scoring very well or very high, I think is a more legitimate and a more stable target than aiming for 100 percentile. So that I think should be the case. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you're aiming for 100 percentile, you have to do well in all the 3 sections. Now, it is possible that on the day of the examination, you might not do well in any particular section. Then if you are aiming only for 100 percentile, on the day of the examination, you will be demotivated. So that should not happen. So aim for as high as you can. Okay, try to aim for, say, 99.8, 99.9, say 1 or 2 days before the examination. That is how your mindset should be. These are the 2 disclaimers I want to give you. And after that, I'll talk about 100 percentile and what it entails. What does it take to score 100 percentile? I'll also give you some ideas about how I approach verbal, LRDI, and Quant. I'll tell you what are the things that I do to do well in each one of the 3 of them. But before I do it, let me look at the chat and see if there are any doubts. People who have just joined the stream, please do like the stream. We have more than 100 people who are watching the stream live. So please do like it. Somebody posted that I have joined Cracku for CAT 2000 Shikha, I think. I can't go by the username, but most likely I think the name is Shikha. I have joined Cracku for CAT 2026 coaching exam recently. I have a job, please get. One thing I would tell you is I think you're on the right track, because if you're preparing for CAT 2026, you have a lot of time. You have more than 1.5 years, maybe at least 1.5 years. So I think that is time is definitely on your hands. The second thing I would tell you is if you have a job, I'm assuming that you have already graduated. If that is the case, the first thing I would tell you is take CAT 2025 also. Even somebody who is aiming to do well in CAT 2026, it is always a good thing to take CAT 2025 and prepare well for CAT 2025. After that, even if you don't do well, I think it is okay. Then you can prepare and learn from your mistakes. But don't ignore CAT 2025. So register for it when the registration is open and take CAT 2025 and take it seriously so that you can learn from the mistakes. Harsh Bora is saying, sir, is it possible to get 99 percentile in 5 months? I think getting 99 percentile in 5 months also is dependent on where you stand right now. If you are percentile right now is, say, around 80 to 85, I think from 80 to 85 going up to 97, 98 or 99, I think in 5 months is definitely possible. But if you are somebody who is just beginning to study, suppose you have not solved CAT questions ever, suppose you're a complete fresher, then, and say you have not taken any mock, suppose you have lost touch with most of the concepts that are asked, then maybe scoring 99 percentile in 5 months might not be very possible. Now let us look at what I wanted to discuss today with respect to the strategy that you should have to do well in, to do extremely well, to score, say, 100 percentile or 99.99 percentile in CAT. What I would tell you is simple. If somebody wants to score 100 percentile, they have to do well in all the 3 sections and they should not have any weakness. That is, sometimes people say that, sir, I'm very good at Quant and LRDI, but I'm struggling in verbal. Or somebody might say that, sir, I'm very good at verbal and LRDI, but I'm not very good at Quant. Or somebody might say that, sir, I do well in verbal and Quant, but I don't do well in LRDI. It should not happen that there is any obvious weakness that you have. And that is true not just for somebody who is aiming to score 100 percentile, that is true for somebody who is aiming to score very high. That is, somebody who is aiming to score 99.8 also should not really struggle in any one of the sections. It is possible that you might not be very good at all the 3 sections, but it should not happen that there is at least any one section where you're clearly struggling. That I don't think will cut it if you're aiming to score above 99.8 in CAT. The second thing I would say is, again, if you're trying to score very high, say 99.99 plus or something like 99.9 plus, in that kind of a situation, you would want to ace one section. There should be one section where you're completely scoring very, very well. That is, consider one candidate, candidate A, who scores 97 in verbal, 98 in LRDA, and 99 in Quant. If it is 97, 98, 99 in 3 sections, then his overall percentile will be something like, say, 99.2, 99.3. But somebody who is scoring, say, 96 in verbal, 96 in LRDA, but scores, say, 99.9 in Quant, that guy is going to score 99.7, 99.8 overall. That is, anybody who is aiming to score very well or very high should not get just very good marks in the 3 sections. If you're getting very good marks in the 3 sections, by very good I mean something like, say, 97 or 98 percentile, then your overall percentile also will be very good, which is, say, 99.1, 99.2, which is a very good percentile. But somebody who is aiming to score 99.8, 99.9 or 100 percentile, at least in one of the sections, that person has to ace it completely. You should score 99.7, 99.8, 99.9 kind of a score. And in most of the cases, the section in which you score very well is either Quant or verbal, because I think these two are more like predictable. These two are not the sections where you are not very, there is a good chance of consistency. LRDA, on the other hand, is very inconsistent. Sometimes you do well. Many times you feel that, okay, I'm good at LRDA, I'm trying to score well, I'm getting a lot of marks. But on the day of the examination, it can happen that LRDA is very difficult. Or it can happen that some idea doesn't strike your mind. So you are not getting the entire set. So depending on LRDA, depending on doing extremely well in LRDA is probably a strategy that I would not recommend. Your strategy should be that I do either very well in Quant or very well in verbal. The one section where you want to completely ace has to be either verbal or Quant. And I'll tell you tips about how to do well in Quant and how to do well in verbal. Just give me 1 minute. Just to reiterate and just to summarize what we discussed right now, somebody who is aiming to score above 99.8 has to do extremely well in one of the sections. That one section has to be either verbal or Quant, because LRDA is not something that you can depend a lot on, because there is a lot of variability in the level of difficulty in LRDA. There is also a lot of volatility in whether you are able to get a set correct or not. Now, coming to verbal, how can somebody become very, very good at verbal? Somebody can become very, very good at verbal by inculcating a habit of reading. I stress a lot on the habit of reading, because I myself have seen that when you are reading a lot, you are able to read faster, you are able to understand or comprehend whatever is being taught in the first time. That is, when you go through a passage, and if you are able to understand what is the importance of each paragraph of the passage. The passages that are given in CAT are very good passages. These are passages that are written by very well written authors. Many times when we write a passage or when we write a letter, we feel, or I feel that, okay, my passage 1 is not flowing directly into the second passage, or the paragraph is not flowing directly into the second paragraph. But in a examination like CAT, when they give you a passage, each paragraph has a purpose. The first paragraph has a purpose. The second paragraph has a purpose. There is a connectivity between the first paragraph and the second paragraph. It is possible that they introduced the first paragraph, the idea, and then they expanded it in the second paragraph. Then in the third paragraph, they might actually say that, okay, whatever we discussed also has some drawbacks, and they might expand more on the contrary in the third paragraph. Essentially, what I'm saying is that a passage that is given in CAT is a very well-written passage. Every paragraph in that passage has a purpose, has a meaning. There is a reason why that is included. Every line that is given in that passage also has a purpose. No line is just a redundant line. So many times when you believe that, when you're reading a paragraph or when you're reading a passage, try to summarize yourself as to what is the idea or what is the reason this paragraph has been given. In a passage, if there are 4 paragraphs, what is the idea of the first paragraph? Why was it given? What is the idea of the second paragraph? Why was it given? And so on. Now, this kind of a immediate or a impromptu understanding you are going to get only if you read a lot, and only if you read a lot of good passages. Now, the second question that you can ask me is, but sir, where can I find good passages? Now you can find good passages in multiple ways. You can actually go through the CAT daily targets that are given by us. There are Cracku daily articles that are also given by us, where every day we upload 3 or 4 passages which are from very good sources. Another thing is, if you don't want to depend on Cracku, if you want to do it on your own, one of the things that you can do is you can look at the summary of the last 3-4 years CAT previous year's papers, and based on the last CAT previous year's papers, you can find out the source of the RCs for the last 3-4 years CAT. Once you figure it out, you will notice that there are some important websites that are given. The important websites are either the Economist or Aeonisys or the Hindu, Indian Express, Guardian. All of these things, if you figure out the sources of the previous year's papers of CAT, you can find out that, okay, these are the 5-6 important websites. Bookmark those important websites, and based on it, go to those websites at least once or twice every day and try to read at least 1 or 2 articles from these important websites every single day. Then you will get this habit of reading, which will help you quite a lot in doing well in RCs. Now, coming back to what I was saying about the Cracku daily targets. Another important source for you to get CAT level understanding or having access to the CAT previous years, having access to articles which are similar to CAT is the Cracku daily targets. In Cracku daily targets, which are very, very famous, we give 1 test in Quant, 1 test in LRDA, and 1 test in verbal every single day. And all of these tests have detailed video solutions. Now, these tests are taken by thousands of students every single day. I think yesterday, the number of students, or on Friday, the number of students who have taken daily targets was around, I think, 6,000 or 6,500. These are the daily targets that were taken on one single day. You can understand how important they are to build that sense of discipline or sense of consistency. Many times when students do well and get into a good institute, I interview them to see how they prepared for CAT. And in those interviews, I always ask them, okay, what is the one thing that you really liked about Cracku? They tell us that, okay, they like this video, they like those videos, they like the concept videos, they like mock tests. They'll say many, many things. Every person finds something or the other useful. But one thing that all of them find very useful, one thing that consistently comes out in their interviews is how important Cracku daily targets were for them to inculcate a sense of discipline. That I think is something that I want every student who is preparing for CAT to take it seriously. Many times, especially if you're a working student, suppose you have a job, many times you might feel that, okay, I'm not able to read for 2 hours today. I put in the effort, the last 4-5 days I studied very well, but today I'm very busy. Now, instead of just giving up completely and not doing anything on that particular day, if you just do 1 Cracku daily target, okay, that is 1 test for 15 minutes. It has 5 questions in Quant. Just do that and you feel that, okay, at least today also I prepared something, because at least that streak is not broken. And then the next day you don't feel demotivated. The next day you feel that, okay, I have studied for 6 days. Now I want to study for the 7th day. I want to keep this streak alive. But on the other hand, if you study for 4 days and miss out on the 5th day, then there will be a lot of inertia on the 6th day to actually come back and start studying. That I think is one of the very underrated reasons why I would want you to take the Cracku daily targets. Now, coming back to what I was saying with respect to preparation for verbal. In addition to inculcating a sense of discipline and a habit of reading, one other thing I would tell you is start taking sectionals, verbal sectionals regularly. This I think is especially true for students who are really struggling in verbal, because many times I see that especially engineers, they tend to do well in LRDA, they tend to do well in Quant, but they tend to struggle a lot in verbal. Now, I have noticed this many times that when somebody is struggling in verbal, they tend to not attack that problem head on. They tend to take a full length mock so that their score in LRDA and Quant is good, but their score in verbal is low. But then they say, okay, sir, but my overall score is good, but I'll improve in verbal. Where I think this is a way in which they're trying to cope themselves, but that is not efficient. You know very clearly that you have to work more on verbal. So put in the effort in verbal, inculcate a habit of reading, take more verbal sectionals, take more verbal daily targets. Do whatever you can to focus on the area that you're struggling with. That I think is the second advice I would give students who are struggling in any one of the sections. Before going to my tips for LRDA, let me look at some of the questions that people might have. Okay. Shivatmika Chavali. Sir, I'm a working professional. I'm consistently putting efforts even though after coming from work. But I'm not seeing improvement. But I can able to solve my friend's doubts. See, I think that is very good. Now, if you're able to solve the doubts of your friends, it means that you're at least doing better than many of your friends. That is the first thing. The second thing is you should see and you should tell yourself and know for yourself whether you're improving or not. Your mock scores might vary, okay, but there will be a trend. What I mean by that is, say you're taken 3 mocks in the last 1 month and 3 mocks in the month preceding that. Now, your scores in the mocks might go up and down, but at least you will see some sort of a trend. You will feel that, okay, earlier when I was taking a mock, in my LRDIS, I was not able to solve any set. Here, now after like say 2 months or 3 months of preparation, I'm able to solve one set, but I'm getting the remaining 3 sets wrong or something or the other. Where you will see that as compared to where you were 1 month or 2 months ago, if you see some improvement, I think you are on the right track. Just focus more on doing whatever is working. Ram is saying, sir, I'm planning to leave job in September for CAT prep. I have 2 years of work ex. Is this the wise decision? Ram, I would advise students who are thinking of leaving their jobs to look at this flowchart. First is ask yourself whether you have, whether you're a fresher, whether you have like say 6 months or under 6 months work ex. In that situation, don't leave a job. I think that's a bad decision. Don't do it. On the other hand, if you have say 2 or 3 years work ex, I think it is okay to leave a job, especially in the last 2-3 months when you want to give in your all to do well in the examination. I think that is completely fine. There is nothing wrong with that. But by then, try to make some savings. Try to ensure that you have some money left, because you don't want any headaches. Where if you have to go and ask your parents for money, it is going to impact your mental health. You are going to feel embarrassed. You also need to remember and recognize that you are not in say your 12th or like you're not in your teenage, right? So in that kind of situation, your parents asking your parents for money will be very, very embarrassing, even if you want to go to a movie or all these kind of things. So ensure that you have some savings left so that you are financially independent, and then you can focus fully on CAT for the last 2-3 months. But also be mindful that after CAT is over, if you want to find a job, okay, you should have some way in which you get some job. So have that at the back of your mind as a plan B. Okay, now coming to Quant. Now coming to LRDA, sorry. LRDA, I think, is the most important section in CAT. The reason I say that is because LRDA many times messes up the section, messes up the examination completely. So I have a lot of, I give a lot of importance to my LRDA section. It starts off by many things, okay, small things. But for me, the most important section which makes or breaks my examination is the LRDA section. So there are certain things I do which I would want to tell you, and you can try to inculcate some of those habits if you find them to be useful. For me, for LRDI, I try to finish the verbal section at least 2-3 minutes before the time ends. This would imply that in the last RC or so, I try to finish it off much quicker than I would normally do. The time that I take to finish the first, second, and third RCs is much more than the time I take for the fourth RC. Therefore, my accuracy in the fourth RC also is lesser. The way I attempt my verbal section is I first attempt 2 RCs, then I do some verbal questions, then I attempt the third RC, then I finish the verbal section, and then I attempt the fourth RC at the end. And that fourth RC that I attempt at the end, I try to finish off as quickly as I can. Many times my accuracy is poor in that, but that is a sacrifice that I make. The reason I make that is because I want to have at least 30 seconds to 1 minute after I finish the verbal section before the LRDA starts, because I want to mentally recollect, mentally understand that, okay, a verbal is over, now it is LRDA. I want to focus on LRDA. What is my strategy for LRDA? What should I do for LRDA? All of these things, I want to have a moment to reflect on all of this so that I'm mentally prepared for the LRDA section. The reason I do that is because sometimes when I was taking CAT at the start, I used to be scrambling towards the end of verbal section. And when LRDA starts, I'm just completely like, I had this adrenaline crash. Towards the end, I was doing everything I can to finish off verbal. And when LRDA comes, because there is no break in between the sections, I'm completely caught off guard. And that would ensure that I waste 3 or 4 minutes just getting into that zone. Where okay, there are 4 sets or there are 5 sets. Let me look at the sets. And even getting that enthusiasm, the motivation to have that mind switch and all. For me, those 3 minutes or 4 minutes in LRDA are worth their weight in gold. Especially the first 10 minutes in LRDA are very, very important. So I want to have a calm mind when the LRDA section starts. Because of this, I make that sacrifice in verbal section. The last 5-6 minutes in verbal section, okay, I try to use to finish off the RC. I finish it very quickly so that I have at least 30 seconds, 40 seconds or a minute to recollect, to be like grounded, to know and be prepared for what is coming next. Once LRDA section starts, my strategy is very simple. I don't want LRDA to mess up my section. I don't want LRDA to be to go extremely poorly, because I feel that is possible for anyone. That is possible even for me, where it is possible that I'm starting an LRDI set. It feels like I'm making some progress, but the time is running out. 10 minutes are gone. I made some progress. 15 minutes are gone. I'm very close to solving it. And then suddenly 20 minutes are gone and I get the set, or maybe I get a mistake in the set, and then I'm completely caught unawares. I don't want that to happen. Now, once I know that shouldn't happen, I try to figure out what is the way that I should approach the LRDI section. So initially, the first 2-3 minutes, once the LRDI section starts, I go through all the sets. I go through all the sets and I make a note that, okay, the first set is about, say, arrangements. The second set is a DI chart. The third set is a missing values in the table. What kind of a set is it? I try to make an assessment. The second thing I try to do is, once I look at the LRDIs, okay, I try to figure out whether this LRDI can be completely solved. Just 1 minute, guys. I'm having some throat pain. The second thing I try to see is whether this LRDI can be completely solved, or whether it has multiple cases. Because sometimes in an LRDI, you are given a set which cannot be completely solved. Sometimes this LRDI is such that after you solve the entire set, there are multiple cases possible, and every individual question has to be solved separately. Those kind of sets I try to avoid as much as I can. Okay, 5 minutes. So initially, I try to attempt the sets which can be completely solved, because I feel that if I'm spending 10 minutes or 50 minutes and I get all the questions correct, my mental health or my panic will reduce considerably. Getting that first set correct completely is very, very useful, and you should know that that set is correct. And in the individual questions, many times I won't feel confident. I feel that, okay, there is a chance I made a mistake. There is a chance I made some silly mistakes. So even if I solve that 4 questions or 5 questions independently, I feel that I won't feel that confidence. On the other hand, if I solve the set completely and there is only one solution, and when all the answers I mark and the options are matching, I feel much more confident. I know that one set is done. For many of these reasons, I only attempt at the start questions or groups where I can solve it completely. That is the first thing. The second thing is, in the first 2 minutes itself, I make a priority order. I say that, okay, first I'm going to attempt the second set. Second, I'm going to attempt the third set. Third, I'm going to attempt first set. Something or the other where I know this is the priority order in which I attempt sets. So that when the examination starts, and if the first set I'm able to solve quickly, then there's nothing wrong with that. But in the off chance that I get stuck in the first set, I thought that the first set was easy, but then I'm stuck there. And then 8 minutes have passed or 10 minutes have passed. Then I make a room. I tell myself that, okay, I put so much effort. 10 minutes have passed. Okay, this set I have solved it midway, but I leave it here. I'll go to the next one. But then I'm not in any confusion. When I'm leaving a set in the middle, that is obviously that is going to affect my confidence. But at least there is less confusion in my head because I have my priority order. I know that the second set is this one, and I'll go and try to attack the second one. Then in most cases, at least the second one, I get it correct. In some off chance, if I don't get the second one, I go to the third one. But when I have this priority order, there is less confusion in my head. There is less panic in my head. So even if I'm stuck with one set, okay, I ensure that after 10 minutes, I leave the set and I go to the next set. This ensures that many times I'm able to at least not panic in the LRDI sections. The third thing I would say is, in LRDI especially, you should never give up. In the examination hall, you should never give up. Many times it has happened to me, many times. Okay, in the last, when I got 100 5 times, okay, LRDI I salvaged in the last minute at least 3 times, where it looked like I got one set correct and I made no progress in the remaining sets. And in that kind of situation also, I used to like have this adrenaline. I used to have put so much effort in the last few minutes without giving up, trying to find out some way in which I can solve a set. And that having that motivation or that optimism is very, very important, especially in the examination and especially in this section of LRDI. You might ask me, but sir, can you tell me some examples in which you have actually done it? I actually plan to make a video on my LRDI tricks next week, but just to give you a background, I'll give you a summary about what I did, which worked for me. Okay. In one of the examinations, I think this was in CAT 2021 or CAT 2020, one of these two, there was one set about mangoes. I think there is a father who gave, he had an estate. Okay, this was basically broken down into multiple parts. And I think they were distributed to 3 daughters. Every plot had a certain number of trees. It also had, I think, a certain types of trees. I think there were 2-3 types of trees, maybe mangoes and apples or something like that. what we are essentially asked to figure out is how many trees were there in each of these slots and what type of tree is that, and I think which of the daughters did this each of the plot go to, something like that, which seemed like a simple missing values in the like basically it's a graph, 2D kind of a graph, but also had like an arrangements kind of a set. It was a simple LRDA set. It had 6 questions. I made some progress, but because it was a long set that was given, I did not read one of the clues. And because I did not read one of the clues, I made some progress, but I was not able to solve the set completely. Then I read all the clues again. When the time was running out and I was desperate, I read all the clues again. But the thing that happens in LRDA is that once you miss out on reading the clue the first time, you would not read the clue the second time. You will just somehow your mind skips that line and goes. Multiple times I read it, but for some reason I was just missing that line. Now I made some progress. So when I made that progress, I realized that okay, in one plot, okay, I knew that the number of trees has to be a multiple of 3. That I was able to figure it out. But if I had read that line, I would have figured out that the number of trees in that plot would have been 6. But here I figured out that it will be either 3 or 6 or 9. That I was able to figure out by missing that line. Then I was desperate. I didn't know what to do. Then I looked at all the questions. In one of the question was basically how many trees were there in that particular slot. Then I realized that okay, and the options that were given, there was only 6 in them. There was no 3, there was no 9. And in whatever I was able to figure out, I know that that answer will be either 3 or 6 or 9. So based on both of them, I realized that the number of trees in that particular slot has to be 6. And once I figured out that it is 6, I was able to solve the entire set. Once I figured out the number of trees in one particular slot with that additional information that I got from one of the questions, I was able to figure out the entire slot and I was able to get all the 6 questions correct. This I got only because I was desperate. I really wanted to get it correct. So I was going through all the questions. I was going through all the options. I was trying to see if I can make some more assumptions. Now, having that kind of desperation, that kind of never give up attitude in the examination is very, very helpful. These are things that I don't think you will be able to learn on your own, but these are things I think that you should definitely have. Guys, we have more than 150 people who are watching our stream live. Please do like our stream. Many people are asking us about our next batch, when it is starting. We are having a CAT 2025 intensive batch, which is starting from tomorrow on the 1st of July. From July, one thing that I want to tell you is the preparation for CAT has to really pick up steam. You will have less than 5 months left from the start of July. And these are the most important months of your life. And I'm not even exaggerating. I actually mean that. Somebody who has finished graduation, somebody who is looking to get into an IIM, these 4 months or 5 months, you have to make the best use of them. You have to first reflect and introspect how important these months are. And I, as somebody who has been in this industry for the last 10 years, I know students who have gone into an IIM. I know students who have gone into the top institutes, and I know how much difference it has made to their career. This is something that maybe some of you realize, maybe some of you don't realize, but I want you to reflect on how things will be if you actually do well in the examination. And the chance of you doing well in the examination is completely in your hands. You doing well, at least a lot of it is in your hands. I agree that some of that is also based on luck, all of these things, but at least you can do whatever is in your hands. And these 4 months are completely in your hands. So put CAT at the top of your mind in these 4 months. Now we have this intensive batch, which is starting from tomorrow. Every single day, we are going to give you a list of things that we want you to learn. We'll give you a bunch of videos. We'll give you a list of questions we want you to solve. We'll give you all the things that you need on a particular day, and we are going to follow a fixed schedule. If you stick to the schedule, most of the syllabus will be completed pretty quickly. And we are also giving you mocks and sectionals over the weekend so that you can practice and you can attempt these mocks. In addition to it, on every single day, every single weekday, from Monday to Friday, we are having live classes where we focus mostly on solving questions. And these live classes happen at 8 p.m. and they continue till 9 or 9:30 p.m. every single day. I take all the classes on Monday. Saili takes all the classes on Tuesday. We can also interact if you have any doubts with respect to your preparation during these time slots. On the other days, the faculty which teaches is very, very good. We have put in a lot of effort to pick the best faculties who will teach students and help them in solving questions on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. This, if you have any doubts with respect to this batch, the CAT 2025 intensive batch, you can send us a mail to support@cracku.in, or you can just call us on our support number. Now coming back to what I was saying with respect to LRDI. The last thing I would tell you with respect to LRDI is don't forget the importance of theta. Many times, again, in my inspiration, I also put in some effort into what guess I should put in the theta questions. Suppose I didn't attempt a set, but it has said 2 theta questions. I just don't mark, I just don't first not mark at all. I mark something or the other. The second thing is I put in at least 10-15 seconds into figuring out what would be a good guess for that theta question. Now, there are some types of theta questions where your guess will be pretty good. Suppose it's a games and tournaments set. Suppose you know that when you look at the instructions, you don't need to go very deep into it, but you know that the number of rounds in this games is say 5 or 6. Now, if one of the question is, and one of the question is a theta question that, okay, in which round did a particular thing happen for the first time? So, or you can say that, okay, in which round did Ajay score more than Vijay for the first time, or something like that. Then you know that, okay, they're talking about one particular round. Okay, most likely the answer will not be the first round. This is just a random guess. Most likely it won't be the last round. So if it has 6 rounds, my theta answer will not be 1 or 6. It will be 2, 3, 4, or 5. Most likely, I would say the answer will be either 3 or 4. So many times I put it as 3. Again, this is a random guess that I'm giving you about how I think when I'm actually putting even theta answers, where I don't just mark some random number. Without looking at the instructions, for example, I would not mark it. If I did not read the instructions, I would not know that there are only 6 rounds. And suppose I put an answer as say 12. Does it make any sense? It doesn't. So all I'm saying is, when you're marking theta questions, spend 10 to 15 seconds going through the instructions. Just get a rough sense of what this set is about. Okay. Then try to read the question, try to make some sort of guess that, okay, will it be at the start, will it be at the end? If you're not able to make it, even then, just by understanding the set better, you are increasing your chances of getting it correct. The fact is, if you put 3, it is very likely that the answer is 5. So you won't get it correct. But you are giving yourself better chance of getting it correct. One last thing I want to say is, please do follow our Instagram page. We have one very active Instagram page, and we also are planning to do a profile evaluation on live on the Instagram page every Wednesday at 7 p.m. The Instagram page is Cracku exam, where we upload very useful information with respect to CAT and other MBA exams every single day. Many people, thousands of people, I think we have close to 42,000 people who are following us on Instagram. Please do follow us. Please do follow that page, especially if you're active on Instagram. The second thing is, many people ask us to review their profiles. So if you want us to review your profiles, we plan to do a profile review, profile evaluation live on Instagram every Wednesday at 7 p.m. So please do follow us on Instagram, and we will be live on Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the profile evaluation. Now, coming back to what I was saying with respect to Quant. After I finish Quant, I'll answer 5 questions. And once I answer 5 questions, we'll end the stream. Now, coming to Quant. I tend to do very well in Quant. In nearly all the CATs that I've taken, the last 6-7 exams, I did very well. Many times I scored full. Sometimes I scored 1 question. I got 1 question wrong. I'll tell you one most important thing which you will have to remember. Oh, thank you. I think one very important thing that you should remember to do very well in Quant is being ruthless about leaving one question and going to the next one. That, I think, is one mistake that I don't make at all. When I feel that there is a question which seems to be easy, I try to attempt it. If I get it correct, then fantastic. But for some reason, if I'm not able to solve it completely, if I make some progress, but I'm not able to get the final answer, and I'm going into some repetitive loops, or I'm making so many calculations, where I feel, okay, clearly I'm making some mistake somewhere, I'm wasting time. Okay, clearly there should be an easier way to solve it. These kind of things I feel when I'm in the middle of solving a question. Then I always ensure that I leave that question there and I go to the next one. The reason is very simple. In Quant, there are 22 questions. You should make sense and you should make justice to all the 22 questions. You should never spend 5 minutes or 6 minutes on one particular question, because it makes no sense. You have 40 minutes, you have 22 questions. So you have less than 2 minutes per question. So the moment I spend more than 3 minutes on any particular question, I leave it, I go to the next one. Because I have another confidence. I have another confidence that if I finish all the 22 questions, when I cycle it and I come back to this question that I did not solve, the second time when I'm able to solve it, I would have already read the entire question already. I have made some progress, and maybe my mind was also thinking about the question in the background when I'm doing the other questions also. So many times when I come back to solve this question for the second time, because of all of these advantages, I get that question correct very quickly. So I ensure that I never ever spend more than 3 minutes on any particular question. If I feel that, okay, this is an easy question, somehow I'm not making progress. That also I get that frustration many times. Where I feel this is an easy question, I'm just messing it up. I mark it for review, I go to the next one. This way, I know which question to come quickly when I'm coming back after finishing all the 22 questions. So any question that I'm making progress, or I feel I should be able to solve it, but I'm not able to solve it right now, I mark it for review, I go to the next one. So that when I come back, I attack this question, and many times I get it correct very quickly. That I think is by far the single most important thing that I want all of you to do. The second thing that I would say I do pretty well is I commit very few silly mistakes. Now, why do I commit very few silly mistakes? I think is because whenever I make any silly mistake, okay, in any of the mocks, any daily target, or anything or the other, I take it. I try to understand exactly why that happened. Okay, if say sometimes I make the mistake that, okay, 6 into 8, I write it as 64. Stupid mistake. Okay, normally it should not happen, but once or twice I made that, and then I realized that, okay, this is a mistake that is happening. I would write it down in a notebook. Then when that kind of a question comes, or when that kind of a situation comes in the examination, I pay double the attention. I don't switch off, because many times I realize that I make silly mistakes only when I switch off in an examination. When I solve the question, the important steps are done, and then I have to just continue solving it mechanically, and I'll get the answer. In those kind of situations, when I'm just solving it mechanically, I make silly mistakes. So I ensure that whenever I'm committing any silly mistake, I remember it. There are many ways to remember it. You can write down all the silly mistakes that you've made, keep revising it regularly, so that when that kind of a situation comes, you don't repeat it. This will ensure that your silly mistakes decrease at least by 67%, 60 to 70%. That would ensure that you are not losing out on any marks that you would have normally gotten. This, I think, is the second thing that I would want all of you to do. Now, let me answer 5 questions. And after that, we'll end the stream. Guys, please do like the stream. Please do subscribe to our channel. We have a lot of people who are watching our stream live. We have close to 170 people who are watching the stream live. Please do like it. Okay. Sajal Singh is saying, sir, how do I do mocks when I don't know a thing? Sajal, see, the way I would want to look at it is this way. Okay. You have 5 months left. You have less than 5 months left. When you have less than 5 months left, you have to take mocks. Now, you can say that, but sir, मैंने कुछ किया ही नहीं, मुझे कुछ आता ही नहीं. तब मैं बोलूंगा कि ठीक है, एक mock दे दो. Try to give your best. What is the worst that will happen? You are going to score single digit in all the 3 sections, which is fine, no? At the end of 2 hours, you would at least have spent those 2 hours in understanding the kind of questions that come, and you are losing just 1 mock, which is fine, no? You are at least making some sense of what are the kind of questions that come. You will have a much more intuitive understanding. Otherwise, you are never getting into the arena. Otherwise, you are just always thinking कि मैं syllabus complete करूंगा, उसके बाद मैं mock solve करने के लिए आऊंगा. वो कभी होगा ही नहीं. So the moment you take a mock, you score poorly, you will feel that nervousness, you will feel that panic. Then you will put in more effort. So always take mocks, at least 1 mock every 2 weeks. It will definitely help you. In those 2 hours, if you put in that full effort in those 2 hours, you will gain a lot more in your CAT journey as compared to not taking those mocks and just preparing or watching some video. 2 hours of a CAT mock is a very good investment of your time in your preparation for the examination. You will gain a lot. You will gain what are the kind of important questions. You will gain what are the kind of questions you are able to solve. What are the kind of questions you are not understanding. You will understand a lot more about the examination by taking a mock than by just watching some video. Sir, I'm scoring 40 marks in mocks. How to bring this score to 80 in 2 months? See, if you're scoring 40 in mocks and you want to bring it to 80, you have to improve by around 10 to 15 marks in each of the sections. To do that, you have to focus on the things that are important. In quant, you have to focus on the 3 important topics: arithmetic, algebra, geometry. You have to focus in LRDS, at least on the often asked type of LRDS, like arrangements, okay, DIs, okay, missing values in the table. At least the common asked LRDS, you should be comfortable. In verbal, you have to focus more on RCs, focus more on improving your accuracy in RCs. Like I mentioned earlier, inculcate a habit of reading. These are things that you can do to improve your score. Okay, one last question I'll answer. Sir, what is the difference between prep done by a 100 percentiler and a 99 percentiler? I think one thing that I would tell you is the difference between somebody who scored 99 and somebody who scored 100. There are two things. One, I think, is a 100 percentiler or somebody who scores say 99.9 tends to do extremely well in one section. A 99 percentiler tends to do well in all the three sections, but that person will not do extremely well in any one of the sections. Now, to score 100 percentile, you have to do extremely well in at least one section. You have to score close to 100 percentile in one section, and that section has to be either verbal or quant. Like I mentioned earlier, those are the two sections which are trustworthy. You can't depend on scoring very well in DILR, but you can depend on quant. Somebody who is good at quant tends to do well in quant nearly every single time. Somebody who's good at verbal tends to do very well in verbal nearly every single time. Somebody who's good at DILR tends to do well in DILR many times, but not always. So that variability is always there with DILR. So that I think is the one difference between somebody who scored 99 and somebody who scored 100. Somebody who scored 99 would score something like say 97, 98, 99 in the three sections, quant, LRD, and verbal. Somebody who scored 100 would score say 97. 97 is tough. Somebody who scored 100 would be say 99, 99, and 100. That person has to completely ace one section. Then he's going to score 99.9 plus. The second thing is somebody who scores 100 percentile, I think, also has that confidence that they can actually score very well. Somebody who has taken CAT once or twice might not have that confidence that, okay, I can maybe do very well. I think that is a difference where I basically have that confidence that I can do well. And it is possible to have this confidence only because I've done well in the last 4 or 5 times. So I know that, okay, this is something that I can do well. I think that is the reason I would tell students who have not taken CAT as many times as I've taken that don't focus on scoring 100 percentile, because then you're putting unnecessary pressure on yourself. Try to score 99.9. 99.9 I think is pretty good. The difference between 99.9 and 100 is not a lot. Just focus on how to get to 99.9. I think that is a very good start. Okay, guys, that is it for today. If you have any doubts with respect to any of the things that I said, please do comment below this video. I look at all the comments and I try to reply to them. Please do like the stream and please do share it with your friends.